These are chromosomes. Notice their X-shaped structure. In each X, each side is composed of what we call a sister chromatid, which is an exact copy of the other side. In this diagram, you can see how chromosomes are composed. They're made of long strands of DNA. Take a look. Here's the chromosome. You see the classic X-shaped structure. And it's made of all these coiled strands. Each coiled strand is composed of what we call histone proteins, and around each histone is the actual DNA. The classic double helix shape is seen here. You can think of DNA as thread being wound around a spool. DNA is wound around histone proteins in the same way. You often hear people say that children look like their parents. I often hear people tell me that my daughter, and sometimes even my son, look like me. This is due to heredity, the passing of DNA from parent to offspring. And you can see it here in this mother dog and her pup. But this doesn't just apply to physical traits, it can also be behavioral traits or abilities. For example, I play guitar a little bit. I'm not great by any means, but if you wait here just a minute, you'll also see my daughter doing some jamming. Is this hereditary? It is possible, because behavioral traits are hereditary just like physical ones. Cracking the code of DNA begins in the cell's nucleus, which is represented here by the blue circle. The DNA code is read by an enzyme. This process is called transcription, and it makes a temporary copy of the DNA code, called RNA. This messenger RNA then acts as a message. It goes to the cytoplasm, where a ribosome can turn it into a protein, which is seen as the purple chain coming off of the ribosome. Proteins do a lot of things in our body, in all living things' bodies, as a matter of fact. Here you see some examples of proteins. They're very complex, very intricate, and they have specific shapes for specific functions. What can proteins do? Well, for example, they give us physical traits, like eye color. They also function as enzymes, as you can see here. Notice the shape of the enzyme in purple would fit perfectly with the yellow substrate. You're probably familiar with insulin. This is a model of the insulin molecule. Insulin is a hormone that regulates blood sugar. You may know someone who is diabetic that has to take insulin shots. That means their insulin doesn't work correctly, that their body creates. Proteins can also cause behavioral traits, such as the ability of this lizard to scurry up this wall. Believe it or not, there is a DNA code that controls this behavior. Here's an excellent example. This gibbon is drinking from the water using their hand as a cup. This is coded in their DNA. Watch as this gibbon swings from high above the treetops. That's also a behavioral trait controlled by DNA and a protein made from that DNA. And as this gibbon descends to the ground, you're going to see something very interesting, as his method of drinking is a little bit different, but nonetheless effective, and it's also controlled by a gene, by DNA.